let's talk about the next thing on the congas. We're going to talk about how to actually play these instruments and what's the most important sound, which I mentioned before briefly. I talked about the open tone, the most important sound, which is basically if we put our hand like this, like in this prayer, flat hands together, and we open up like this, like so, our hands are straight. Okay, even if our hands are flat, our hand's not really flat because the back of the hand, if you look closely, you're going to notice this back of the hand sticks out a little bit more. So we're not completely flat hand, right? And those are very important things to understand when we explore other tones that we achieve on the conga drum. Now, to achieve the open tone, the bottom of the knuckle line where my finger is at is what is rested on the edge of the drum, right? So if I'm straight and I set straight right here, see? And this is how we are achieving this open tone with our hands. And you notice I'm bending my wrist back and then forearm in place. And this is what we want to get people to get comfortable with, right? So bending our wrist back, forearm, and then down. Natural weight. See, it's like almost after when we get more fluid, it becomes almost sometimes, if I'm playing more rapid, there's a subtle wavy motion, nice relaxed motion. Now, let's talk about this further. Now, when we place the edge of our hand at the rim here, not on the actual rim, but at the edge of the membrane of the skin, right here, my knuckle line, and notice my fingers, they're not flat on the drum. They are slightly above the drum, off the drum a little bit, because in order for an open tone to happen on any drum like this, like a conga drum or a djembe, you don't want anything else on the membrane or on the skin like this. See, you're not going to get an open tone sound. So we have to have nothing else other than that position in order to achieve an open tone. Very important, right? Open tone. So that's the most important thing we want to get students to get comfortable with. Just hit an open tone. And then let me express this a little bit more, or let me explain it a little bit more here. So now remember, the thing is making sure their wrist is not down like this. Now this is just a quick interview of a presentation of this basic open tone. Okay, but it's, of course it's going to seem a little long, but here we go. Okay. We don't want this. We want that. And then not flat on the membrane here, but we want a slight angle. Now, the most important part that gets contact when we rest our hand down, that makes that open tone, is the thicker part of our hand here. Okay? And that's how the open tone is being constructed here. You see? Wrist. And I'm just setting weight. I'm not hitting hard. You don't see me trying to pound down. And that's what we want to have people understand. Like, you don't have to hit hard to get a good sound. And everyone's body and their energy that they collect within themselves has a sound. That's why people know sounds of percussionists and drummers, because it's their own body, their own self, their own energy. Then people could identify with that. Open tone, right? I'm just dropping, resting on the edge here. Just right. That's what we got going on with the open tone. Up, and I just have it resting. So to do two hands, I have to make sure the other hand is not pressing down on the skin here, because I won't be able to get that open tone from what I mentioned a little bit ago. So if we have both hands rested, see, they're just kind of here. You don't want them way up like this, because that's not ideal, right? And if you want It's important to get the full potential of your tone by making sure that whole knuckle line of your hand. Everyone's hand is different. Now, there's people who have huge, humongous hands who necessarily don't even put their whole knuckle line. They just get a big sound because their hands are so huge and they get that sound. So they have, it's just, you find your sound, but finding your potential sound, okay? So, and this is how you're going to get it. And just relax and let the sound come out. And that takes some time, okay? As an educator, you want to at least try and make a little bit of effort just to see if you can get a good sound, because that's all you got to be able to explain to the new person or the young student, beginning student. Especially because you got to get them playing right away, because you want to move on. Because usually you only have, what, an hour bracket to get something, and maybe only 15-20 minutes to address a song, or maybe half of the class. So we have to kind of move fast here. But here I'm just want to express this so you can practice it, okay? Now, that's an open tone. Now, if you want to explore more on this, I do have a course that talks about all the tones and all the basic conga rhythms. I will have them in the resources attached to this particular lesson on the congas, okay? The pedagogy of congas here, and what I'm talking about today on this lesson. Okay, so make sure you click on that and you'll see a direct link. It's conga strokes for different folks, right? So, and I go through all the tones. I take my time on everything. I explain a lot, and then it starts moving forward just to get all these basic rhythms together, from the cha-cha-cha, the basic conga pattern, and the full marcha pattern eventually. So, and I'll also, on these resources on this particular thing, we'll have just a general overview of just what I'm talking about here today on this particular lesson, so you'll have something to read over to, just as a guidance thing too. So I'll make sure you have the necessary things there. So always make sure you check all the resources on each particular lesson here, because there's always some good quality, knowledge candy, wisdom candy on any of the stuff that I'll probably attach there and have there for you, okay? Now let's move on to some of the basic things that we need to learn and show people right away on this drum, okay? So if you liked anything that you just saw, first like and subscribe, and then you will find the link to this amazing course. I'll check you all out in the next class.